I will start with this quote from Bill Richardson. Raising a family is difficult enough, but it's even more difficult for single parents struggling to make ends meet. They don't need more obstacles, they need more opportunities. Good evening and welcome to another time with me on Timeless with Tino. Today's topic is single parenting. And I thank you all for joining. Those who are joining now, I believe my guests have joined too. Please share this with your contacts, your network, so we can have as many people as possible be a part of today's topic, single parenting. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to bring up my guests shortly. Okay, let's see. Okay, I believe that's her. Okay. Oh my. Okay, fantastic. I think I've seen. Yes. Hello, good evening. How are you? Nice to have you. Mr.
Good
Igwe,
evening.
please turn your this
Okay.
horizontal. Just
Let
okay,
me
then that's fine.
readjust. Is that better?
No, okay. Yes, it is. It is.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining me this
No
evening.
problem.
And okay, so I'm going to introduce you to my, online guests. It's Otito. Am I right? I can barely hear you. You can't hear you. You can't hear you.
Otito.
Otito.
Yeah.
Okay, Otito. Okay then. Okay. Thank you for joining Otito. I'm just seeing for the first time, but and but one thing I wanted to mention in particular how I was particularly impressed with how I sent out a notification. I love, if you know me, I love bold people. I love people you have never spoken, we have never chatted. But when I sent out the notification, you said, "Look, I'll do it." I love a can-do attitude. But you cannot believe how impressed I am about how you reached out. I mean, I could have
Oh,
said
thank
no,
you. Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. You just reached out, and here we are. So thank you so much for. Because at the time I had to send that out, this topic was frustrating me. Like people don't my single friends. It's a fact of life,
Of course, it is.
But yeah, it is. So you just got to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
I'm thankful. I'm glad to have you
Thank
here.
you. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me better?
Yes,
Okay.
you're much
Okay.
better. Yeah.
Okay,
And
great.
I can't even say you are no longer a stranger, Mr. and you're officially my first return guest.
Thank you. I'm honored.
So
Thank you.
let's clap.
Thank you.
and and I want to say something about that too, because I mean, one of the challenges of doing this is the inability to get men to come up and talk. For whatever reason, I don't know, men will complain, they are not hearing. But if you're not talking, who is hearing you? You know? And women are talking. Women are talking. We're talking, you know? So I'm really thankful, you know, that you agreed to do this again. The first time you did, and, you know, thank you so much, so much. So you're my number one return guest.
Thank you.
Okay, so now, why did I mean, we had done raising millennials last week, and that basically spoke about raising children, and it was like from a general angle and perspective, you know. But I now thought this program show someday to be as big as Oprah, or even bigger.
Amen.
Even bigger.
Amen.
Yeah. So I just felt it was necessary to talk about, you know, other angles and of raising children that may not necessarily be we can't stick to just one. Yes, yes. And like I mentioned also, the challenge with getting single parents to come and talk was, and for the purposes of today's conversation, we're focusing solely on parenting. So it's has nothing to do with the journey of how you ended up getting there. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah.
I totally get you.
I like to isolate my topic so it's not mixed up. Yeah. So it's just, and there are people, like I was telling someone, I think at the height of my frustration, I was telling my husband I was going to cancel the single parenting thing. Then I told a friend who suggested that, look, put it out there. You just never can tell. Someone, I have single parents all around me. But I have single parents who pretend they are not single parents. I have single parents who maybe for whatever reason or the other just don't want to come out and own what is going on and help someone else. Because really that's the essence of what we're doing here.
Absolutely.
Because single parents happen either by design, accidents, or act of God.
Yeah.
It happens.
It's a reality.
It's a reality, and it's an everyday thing. So I'm hoping that someone who is struggling in that area or who has just become one will be able to take a thing or two away from, you know, tonight's discourse. So I just want you to know how thankful I am that you both, you know, stepped up to do this. So we're going to start. And I don't know if Otito, I don't know if you've can I call you Otito? Is that okay?
Everybody calls me Tito though, but you can call me what you like.
Okay, I mean, tell us, what are the joys of single parenting? I know, I mean, the normal act of when anybody's thinking of this, I think any thinking person is to have both people on ground, whether there's whether there's a relationship sealed or not.
Or not.
Even though you still expect that at least the other party is involved in whatever, you know, capacity. But when you find yourself in this situation, what are the joys? Because I don't know, I think, and I think it's important we let people know what the joys are. Because I think a lot of people tend to think that it's a bad place. So,
no. I think perspective is key here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes,
okay, so I think perspective is key here. And knowing who you are. So for me, I have a very strong personality. I have a
Mm-hmm.
very strong personality, and I'm clear about my visions, my goals, and all of that. So I'll say one of the joys is that I have clarity about what I want to see in my child, and I have the freedom to execute it how I want, right? So there's just that freedom to say, okay, this is what I want. Nobody's challenging me. I don't have to explain it to anybody, you know. So I have that control to impact a life without any second opinion.
Of
Not
course.
any, but you know what I mean.
Mm.
I'm the main,
Yeah.
I'm the
You're the
key
boss in
decision
charge.
taker in her life. Thank you. So there's no arguments, there's no, you know, confusion. There's clarity as to what I want and I'm achieving it. And for me, that is good. You know, obviously, there are other things like and she has also been my teacher. By the way, I have one child. I have a daughter. She's 8 years old. So I'm learning as well. So it's not just one way. So she also has a very strong personality, but her expression of it is different from mine, and I'm learning. She's a lot more subtle, but she gets everything she wants. Right? Me, I can be assertive. You know, I say my mind. Everybody knows. You know, but she doesn't really say that much, but she gets exactly what she wants, how she wants it. So I'm learning to be like, oh, okay, you don't really have to, you know, lay down the law to get what you want all the time, right? So I mean, I feel one of another good thing is that there's structure. It's easier to put in structure and enforce that structure. And so because I'm a very structured person, that works. So I'm saying all these things because I also see other families where there are clashes as to how to achieve the vision, you know,
Yeah.
that you want for your children or something. But, you know, I just feel just knowing that this person, you're responsible for this person, you're the sole adult responsible for this person, and this one person looks up to you and you alone, you know, for me is, you know, it puts me on my toes. And, you know, I'm really happy to be in that position.
Okay. That's fantastic. Okay, can I ask Mr. Chudi,
Yes.
please tell us your own perspective?
Okay. I mean, I've got two boys, 23 and 18, and so for me, one of the biggest joys is actually seeing them grow and develop and become independent, and you know, exercise some kind of autonomy. That's been one of the biggest joys. You know, watching them grow, watching them become their own person. Um, and also, yeah, so that's good, and also the fact that, you know, watching them learn. Sometimes they make mistakes, but they learn from their mistakes. That's part of their growth as well. And so just setting back or stepping back and watching them develop in that sense brings me great joy.
Okay. Okay, that's great. That's fantastic. Okay, so that's the joy.
Yeah.
So what are the challenges? Eh? What are the challenges and what are the challenges? Let me, because I can only
Okay.
assume.
Well, again,
I can only assume
yeah,
because it's
okay.
even hard enough with two people, you know. So you can just imagine that when it's one person. And like I said, I have single parents. I have friends who are single parents. I know one or two or three things that they do go through. So, Tito, tell us, what are the
Okay.
challenges?
I think the number one challenge is that you have to be good cop and bad cop at the same time, and sometimes within a very short space of time. You have
Okay.
to be this sweet, um, accepting, you know, loving person, and
That is
then you also
almost
have to,
balance.
yeah,
It's
but
almost like
sometimes it's like happening
Jackson
the
and
very
Mike.
next minute. You literally have to switch the next minute so that you know, you're also instilling discipline as much as you love and you want to express all of that and be the one she speaks to and confides in and all of that, you also don't want a nuisance to yourself and to society. So having to be two two extremes in a very short period, I think that's one of the major challenges, I would say. Sometimes it's also communication. I know one of the things that I struggled with initially, like I said, we're very different people. I became a single parent when she was just before she was 2 years old. So she hadn't started talking per se. And then it's like we're getting to know each other and our personalities and all of that. And I stumbled on this thing, about love languages, and realized that her own love language is like, her number one is my number 5. So I just kept thinking, why is this child so clingy? What is the problem? And I personally, I don't really like people all over me all the time and all of that. So I struggled with that for a bit.
You have to remember that.
Yes, but I know we are mixing blood, but you also have to. I didn't see it coming. Let's just put it that way. I didn't know where it was coming from. I just was wondering, why is she so emotional all the time, and why is she always like trying to hold me? And you find out maybe when I'm upset, she wants to come and cuddle me, and that's her way of saying, I'm here for you, calm down. And to me, I'm like, why now? I don't want anyone touching me. This is so irritating, So, but when I now realized that that was her way of communication, it made it a lot easier. So I feel initially I struggled with that, and also had to realize that, my own way of expressing love is not her own way, and I also have to make her feel loved and appreciated. Another challenge is the pressure, sometimes even from her. Mommy, I want to be like you, and I'm like, who am I? It really. So there's that pressure. Things that maybe her friends are experiencing or her cousins are experiencing that she wants to do, and maybe I can't afford it, or I just don't think is one of my values that I want to instill, So trying to communicate that okay, this is not going to work, or right. This is not how we do things around here, or things like that. And for her, she talks about having siblings. Things like all those pressures are there. She talks about being lonely because she's an extrovert and I'm not. So she wants people around her all the time, and I'd rather have my space. So things like that. Those little pressures in our relationships. Those are the challenge, or in our relationship. These are the challenges I tend to face with her, and just trying to find a balance to make sure that she's expressing herself, her extroverted self, but there's a bit of, curbing it so that it doesn't become excessive and she forgets, her existence if people are not around her, things like that.
Okay, that's great. Okay, you mentioned that you became one when she was 2, and a question just popped up. Did you ever explain to her why it's just you? Or
yes, we talk about it.
To say that.
No, we talk about it. We talk about it in detail. In fact, we talk about it because people outside the house ask her, and she has to be able to explain her own peculiar situation. So we talk about it. She has a full understanding of, of the situation, and I have no problem discussing that with her. In fact, I discuss a lot of things with her, and I feel she's a lot more mature for her age. But I just try to make sure she understands why she does the things she does, or why we do things the way we do it, because she's not a child that you can smack and get a result. She's more of a child that can you have to negotiate with. Yeah, you have to negotiate with her, and she will always try to negotiate with you. no matter what. So knowing that that is her personality, I always have to try and explain everything in as much detail and as simply as possible. And as she grows older, you find that she's asking the next layer of questions. So, you know, it's an ongoing process. It's not like a one-off conversation. Sometimes we revisit it and talk about, you know, another layer of complexity or some sort of implication of the situation.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I was going to, I don't know, we've lost my other guest, but I guess it's trying to come
log
up.
back in. Yeah. I think his internet
So,
was having issues.
yes. So we'll just go on. But I wanted to ask, I mean, you mentioned something about her negotiating. And I wanted to ask how do you balance that with having, because the normal child will try to, you know, get his or her way, you know? So how do you balance that with ensuring that you're not overcompensating? Because the
I hear
other
you.
person is
I
not
hear
there.
you. So there are two things here. First of all, regarding overcompensation, I would say I am guilty. I'm recovering, but I'm guilty of overcompensating because I don't want a situation whereby people can tell by just looking that you know she comes from a single parent home. You know, I want her to have the best of everything. I want her to participate in everything available. I want her to shine. You know, so yes, I would say I'm recovering. I'm getting better. So we definitely started off on a high. Yeah, we started off on a high. I was like, no, this girl, you know, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, you know, and because she's the only one, everything, all my hopes and dreams, I was like projected on her and all of that. But I've calmed down a lot now, and I'm just trying to listen to her and hear what she actually wants. I talked about vision earlier, and the vision started with what would her father want? What would I want? And then more recently, what does she want? You know, so trying to balance these three voices, you know, it's a balancing act because yes, I might want to impose my ideas, but I also want to say, was that the original plan we had? Do you understand? And also, what is best for her, and what does she even want? You know, because you can take a horse to the stream, but you can't force that horse to drink water. And I'll give you a perfect example. When I was signing her up for languages in school, she has to do a Nigerian language. I signed her up for Hausa. We are Igbo, but I signed her up for Hausa, and she didn't even say anything. She just, you know, she didn't even argue with me. And then she takes the test, the Hausa test, and did obviously abysmally. And her teacher said, no, this is not like her. Do you understand? So she called her and gave her an Igbo test. And she got, you know, she got, I think, 100%, something ridiculous like that. So she asked her that why did she, you know, what's going on? She said, oh, that she had actually been going for the Igbo classes, right? So even though I signed her up for Hausa, when it's time for the class, she just walks out with the Igbo children and goes to the Igbo class, right? And she didn't even communicate. She didn't say anything to me. She didn't say anything to her teacher. She just, you know, did what she wanted to do. And even during the test, she didn't even say anything to anybody. She happily took the Hausa test and got, you know, and, you know, did her thing. And then when they gave her the Igbo, she did well. So that was her way of telling me that, yeah, I don't want to do it. And
that's the good side of maybe being a child of a single parent.
no, but I mean, when you check it, you know that for the fact that she didn't want to say anything, that it's also a failure on my part to make sure that she's able to communicate. You know, so for me, I had to take a step back and say, why would this child go through all of this? and not tell
Yeah.
me. Do you understand? So I had to check myself. But it was good. She got what she wanted. She continued the Igbo class. But talking, you were talking about overcompensation, which I think I've
Yeah.
addressed. And what was the other thing?
I think it was when you mentioned allowing her get her way, or no, that wasn't the word you used.
Was it negotiating?
Negotiating.
Negotiating.
Yes.
Yeah, so I also want to prepare her for the real world. In a typical Nigerian home, my word is love, right? But I also want a situation whereby she feels that she can keep going back for what she wants. And that is the reality of our own upbringing. I know when I was growing up, once somebody says no once, that's it. You don't, you understand? You don't negotiate, you just walk away. But I think that's faulty. I think in real life, you keep going back for what you want, and it's persistence that actually pays off. So I want that balance of persistence, as long as you're not being annoying. And what I say to her is, if you're coming back to ask me for the exact same thing I said no to, then you have to be coming with more value. You have to come back with more value. So I want to hear something like, okay, mommy, if I practice the piano, do this, do that, would I be able to get what I want? Would I be able to watch the program I want to watch? Also, so go back and think about how you can add value to that situation. And then maybe we can discuss it. Don't just come back and keep persistently asking me for the exact same thing. Go back, be better, do better, and come back.
You create an avenue where she can actually speak out and, express herself and find ways where she can, manage to do what she wants while doing what you want to.
Exactly. So everybody's happy. So everybody's happy. Yes, exactly.
I still can't find my other guest, but I guess they will come back at some point.
Hopefully.
So let me see. I understand this here now.
Okay.
That's see, they don't. It's not here. I can't see him. Okay. Yeah, I've seen it. It's here now. Okay. I think it's going to come on now.
Can you?
Yeah.
Yay!
Hey.
Welcome back.
So I am so sorry. I don't know what happened, my internet and everything else, but I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Can I quickly go back to the challenges of being a single parent? I know, Tito, you've covered quite a lot, but the only one thing I want to add is, for me, what I struggled with was trying to let go, to step back and allow my children to grow and to develop. I struggled with that. I think, Tip, you mentioned it once upon a time, being a single parent, you'll be the only one, you're the only boss, whatever you say happens, you're the commander in chief. But then your children are growing and they're becoming their own person. And so I struggled to step back and allow them to make their own decisions and to, to be humble enough to accept that they had a different...
They fall, they get up.
Yeah.
It's a challenge with every parent.
I struggled with that, especially with my older boy, when he was telling me, but Dad, you can do it this way. And I said, no, you can't, so that was a very big struggle for me. But eventually I had to learn to give him his own freedom, to give him his own space, to allow him to make decisions and to learn from them if he gets them wrong, because I always wanted to protect, but by overprotecting, you're not allowing them to grow. So that was my challenge. Yeah, I had to learn to step back. And also...
Actually, I feel you. Because my son is at the age where, he doesn't want the normal, conventional, low cut like his father. And my husband is like, no, you must cut it to the... I said, sweetheart, please.
Yeah.
Please, then you go to the... Please let me beg you.
Yeah.
He's or not. I say, just let him let him be a young boy.
Yeah.
Say, no, that's a next thing you start plating it. Say it's not plating it. Just
You know what? I can relate. My son can also relate to that. Back in the days, I used to cut their hair, and I used to just cut everything off. And it got to a stage. My older boy said, "No, Daddy, I need to go to the barbers." You know, so that again, that was another struggle because for me it was like I used to say my hairstyle or haircut is not good enough for you. But it was about
exactly.
accepting that he's growing up and he wants what he wants. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also
Exactly.
another
Exactly.
challenge that I experienced was renegotiating house rules and house expectations. As they grow older, you need to reflect, you need to review the house rules, and let it reflect their age and their maturity as well. In the beginning, I struggled with that. I used to say to my older son, "Look, by 9 or 10, I need you back in the house." But then he was growing, he was becoming a teenager, he was working. And so the 9 o'clock curfew couldn't call anymore. I had to say, you know what? Okay, you can come back a bit later. But initially, that was a struggle for me. So, those are the things I kind of struggle with. So it's about being humble to accept that there are other ways of parenting. Allow your children to grow and to develop, and don't project your own insecurities on them.
Yeah, that makes sense because I'm thinking in a two-parent, setting, at least there will be two people examining most likely different angles. But with a single parent, it's just yours.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might run the risk of just imposing just your
views,
your line of thought, and that may not necessarily be relevant anymore. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But with regards to that, I just want to add that I think when I
You're breaking up. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Oh, I think next. So we can't hear you. Can you hear her?
No, I think she's the network.
I'm not sure she can even hear me. Tito, we can't hear you.
No.
Hello? No. I think she's even going to go shortly.
Yes. Yeah, she's gonna. So going back to the overcompensation, I think for me it's about recognizing. Okay, are you back?
No, it's not.
No. So overcompensation. So it's about, for me, it's about recognizing the limitations and the strengths of your children. Once you understand that, you know what you can give and what you can't give, because what you don't want to do is to give your children more than they can actually carry. So it's about getting to know your children very well, what they can and what they can't do, and that will help you to ensure that you don't overcompensate and give them more than they can carry.
Okay, then I was going to ask, because I had already asked Tito about that, was did you feel the need to talk to your children about how it became just you?
Oh, yes.
Or even have an understanding of what their thoughts and understanding of what went down?
Yeah. Well,
because I think a lot of single parents don't have that conversation for whatever reason. But I think that conversation is very important.
Absolutely. I mean, fortunately for me, my children were of age, so they saw what was going on and they understood at the time what was going on. So when it eventually happened, they were aware. It wasn't so much of a shock to them. So I didn't really have to say much to them because they lived through it and they experienced everything. So, and even at the very early stages of what would happen, when people ask me what happened, I can say, speak to my children. They will speak to my children. So that people were hearing from my children, not necessarily from me, because they lived it and they understood what happened. So it was, in that sense, it was a good thing.
Okay. But did you ever get their perspective or?
Oh yeah. I have an open door policy with my two boys, and they tell me things. They're very open and honest and transparent with me, and that's how I've had it from the very beginning. So yeah, we spoke about what the issues, what went wrong, what I know the good things and bad things and all that. So yeah, I've had that conversation with, and it's important to always have that conversation with your children, because at the end of the day, separation and divorce is never a good thing. It would always have an impact on children. So part of them actually dealing with it is having that honest conversation with them, and it will also help them when they enter into relationships as well. They can also learn from that.
Yes, to have an understanding
Yeah,
of what went on,
yeah,
yes, rather than carry baggage or things
exactly.
they can't explain.
Yeah,
We have a lot of children who don't even, in fact, some even hate, and I'm using hate in quotes, the person they ended up with.
yeah, I understand. Yeah, yeah. But again, it's another reason why.
Sorry, go on. Network. Okay. Yes, yes,
Hello.
yes.
Can you hear me now?
I don't know what's wrong with network. You came in. Yes, yes, but we can see you. We can see your hands. Okay, great. Great. Okay, we can see you now. Now, as you come in, yes, he goes up. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So, wait for him to come back, and then we'll continue with that. So, I wanted to ask, yes, I know there will be times you need help. There will be times you need someone to just step in. At what stage did you realize that? And who were the support system that you felt you could reach out to help, navigate through this?
Sorry, the beginning part of the question, I didn't hear it.
Okay, I can hear you too. I think you're back to, you're not too loud yet. Okay.
Is it better now?
Can you say something? Yes, it's better now.
You can
yeah.
hear me?
I was talking about the time that you need help. At what time or at what point, and who are the people that you considered safe support system to reach out to?
Okay, family, first and foremost, family was amazing. Both sides of the family were amazing. That's one. My friends, I wouldn't do life without my friends. And I'm a member of this fellowship of young women. There are about 15 of us, and absolutely amazing. Spiritual support, physical support, all sorts of support. And at any point, I feel like I need to do something because, for instance, I travel for work, or maybe I'm doing a retreat or something. There's always somewhere for my daughter to go and spend time with, her peers. So I don't feel like it's a burden or, oh, I'm alone. No, none of that. I have a fantastic support system. And that's why I can get up and do what I need to do. There's no, there's no way I would have come this far without my friends, especially because most of my family is not even in the country. But without my friends that have just been there, there's always someone to talk to, there's always someone to call, there's always someone stopping by to spend quality time. I don't feel alone. That's the good thing. I don't feel like I'm doing this by myself. In fact, sometimes until you remind me, I don't even think about it. It's just part of my life now.
That's fantastic, and I guess that's why maybe it's important to, have good friends and family because
Most
like
definitely.
as you mentioned earlier, being a single parent, sometimes it's life that happens. It's not so much about what you planned or what you decided to be. That's great. Yes. So, both of you must not go. It's like when you start talking, the other person. I don't know whether you're handing over back to one another. So I was talking to Tito about support system,
Yep.
about help,
Yep.
because really at some point you will know you need help.
Absolutely.
And who to reach out for,
Absolutely.
who to call on,
Yeah.
and who would rise up and help you without judgment.
Yeah.
Because that's another angle,
Yeah.
of it all. So tell us, at what point did that happen for you?
Okay, I mean, for me, first of all, no man is an island, so we all need a support system around us.
Absolutely.
So it's about recognizing your own strengths and your own limitations. And once you know that, you know when to call for help. And what you need is good friends, family members to help you. Whether it's practical support, whether it's emotional support, whether it's just someone to just talk to. It's important that you have those resources around you, because you can't do it on your own. It's, not so much physically, but you need, sometimes you might be having a bad day. You just want someone to talk to. You need a close friend, family member, or even a colleague at work, just as a source and an outlet. So it's important to really have that. And one analogy that I like is, when you're in an airplane with air hostesses, when they do the demonstration with the oxygen mask, they say when it comes down, you should put it on first before helping any other person.
Anybody else, absolutely.
Yeah. So even if you've got a child or a baby, you need to put your own mask on first. So as a single parent, you need to learn how to self-care, how to look after yourself first, so that you'll be able to look after your own children properly. So how you do that, is, you need to find names of how to look after yourself, whether it's through friends, family, self-care activities, whatever it is, but look after yourself, recharge your batteries. Otherwise, you'll not be very useful to your own children.
I totally agree.
Yeah, because that helps
totally
your
agree.
mental state,
Absolutely, yeah.
your emotional state.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just want to go away.
Yeah.
Just want to be alone.
Yeah. It happens.
So I know I had mentioned earlier about when I go on retreats. That's exactly what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So I have mommy time,
Yeah.
and I have mommy and me time. So mommy and me time is when we do our things together. We go out on dates, we travel together, we do stuff together. But at least once, before COVID, at least once a year, I would go away by myself.
Good.
And just refresh, think about my life, how I want everything to go, whether things are even going the way I want them to go, and all of that. So just like a stock take, but by myself in a nice place where I'm appreciating the scenery and enjoying life.
And it's important to have that me time, because parenting is not just about giving the physical needs to your children or supplying their physical needs. It's about being there emotionally for them and mentally as well. Sometimes they may have a bad day at school and they come back and they just want to tell you about their day. But if you're physically there but not mentally and emotionally there, then you've lost that opportunity. But the only way you can actually be there physically and mentally and emotionally is if you're actually looking after yourself as well. That way you can give to your children.
True.
Okay. So there was this situation that I was told about. It was a lady who was dating a guy, and apparently the guy had I think as at that time about 5 children from 5 different women. So true life. And his strategy was to have the girls as living, get them pregnant, and then the minute they birth the child, he moves on to the next girl. Yeah. And this story, but he wasn't a liar. Whatever he wasn't a liar. Because interestingly, he tells these girls. So this particular lady that was in this situation was informed that, look, it's you I want. Don't worry. The one in the house will soon give birth. I will I will send her away. Then you can come in. And he, like I said, he wasn't a liar. And he kept to his words. Because the minute the one in the house gave birth, he sent her away. So that was baby mama number 5. And then brings in this lady to start her own journey. And of course, she got pregnant too. And the cycle, for whatever reason, I don't know why she thought her own situation was going to be different. Because so where I'm going, you know, I'm just laying a foundation for what happened later. So, of course, by the time she had her own baby, she was flung out to baby mama number 6. And now I'm talking about transferred aggression. That child that she had, hey, it was like, you know, when disciplining the child, when scolding the child, it was like every anger, every disappointment, every animosity was transferred onto that innocent child that was jejely with Baba God when both of them planned to, you know, to bring him in. So, what's your view? I know, I mean, hold on, please. Let me bring in. Yeah, I know. What's your view on that? Transferred aggression, transferred anger.
It's actually it's just unfortunate. It happens to the ones we love the most. Do you understand? And for me, I don't even think it's even about life generally. It's I know I mentioned earlier that sometimes when I'm angry or frustrated, someone comes and gives me a hug, and I'm like, not now, you know. So it might not even be frustration of being by myself or all of those things. It might just be circumstantial, and you know, you step in at the wrong time. I'm like, not now, really. Just, you know, take 2 steps back. So it's just unfortunate. I wouldn't. It's not because she's a child. I'll do that to even my mom. I'll just go to a different room or something. Sometimes I just need space to process things. So I don't think it's even about being a single parent. It's just my own way of processing my own anger or frustration or whatever. And I'd rather just be by myself. So if anybody comes into that space and starts bugging me, then it's almost like you're asking for it, right? So otherwise, I think I'm good. I think I'm okay.
Okay.
Sorry, Tuna, I missed the question.
Okay. I actually told a story of a lady who had a baby for a guy who already had 5 baby mamas.
Oh.
And at the end of, but one thing the guy was very open. And he would tell them that, look, his strategy, he had a pattern. The minute the one in the house, he didn't have 5 baby mamas at once. He had them systematically. So he would, the minute the one in the house has given birth, he said,